10 ways the Brexit deal benefits the UK. Number 10. Fishing. The UK will be an independent coastal state once more, with commitments to sustainable fishing. Only the EU will apply tariffs on fishing until a separate arrangement to allow the EU to fish in UK waters is agreed. Number 9. EU citizens' rights. EU citizens will have the rights to live, work and study as they currently do, while maintaining their rights to healthcare, pensions and other social security benefits. Number 8. The end of freedom of movement. Free movement has been promised to end, with a new skills-based immigration system. The post-Brexit immigration system will offer visas to immigrants in a tiered system based on skills and wealth. Territories which strike a trade deal with the UK will be given enhanced access to the UK labour market. Number 7. No more paying the EU. Once the divorce settlement of £39 billion has been spent, which could take a number of years, we will no longer be paying money into the EU, which the government says will mean more money for the NHS. However, economists predict the UK GDP will be worse off post-Brexit, so it's difficult to predict what the net result could be. Number 6. An end of the European Court of Justice having a say over the UK. So this is a debatable subject. Theresa May says the ECJ will no longer have control over the UK, but they will anyway until after the transition period. They will also be influential in the customs arrangement proposed under the Irish backstop. However, a future trade arrangement is yet to come. In order to have a bilateral trade arrangement with the EU, the UK might have to replicate EU law, and in doing that, might have to abide by ECJ oversight. But like I say, the Brexit deal only so far deals with the divorce arrangement and the Irish backstop. It doesn't yet say anything legally binding about our future trade relationship. Number 5. The ability to strike trade deals with other countries. Donald Trump would disagree with this statement as long as the UK remains in a transition period after Brexit or in a temporary customs union. It won't be able to make its own trade deals with other countries by removing tariffs on goods. But trade deals aren't just about tariffs, they're also about rules and regulations. The UK wishes to abide more closely to the EU's rules and regulations, meaning it could be more difficult to move closer to standards of the US compared to the EU. For example, chlorinated chicken, which is allowed in the US but not the EU. The EU is still our biggest trading partner and remains so for some time to come. In the UK's political declaration on its future trade relationship, the EU is insisting on a level playing field, so the UK cannot gain competitive advantage by getting these trade deals with countries outside the EU once it leaves the EU. Otherwise, the entire EU would want to break up. But the declaration recognises the UK will develop a trade policy in the future. It's all still to play for. Number 4. A close relationship on defence. The UK will continue to work with the EU. We will maintain the free flow of data sharing on security matters. We will not use the EU's Galileo space project for our defence or other critical national infrastructure, instead finding an alternative. Theresa May said our armed forces cannot depend on a system we cannot be sure of. The UK has agreed to help the EU launch an EU spy school as part of a push to strengthen European defence. Number 3. Farming. The UK will maintain environmental protections, safeguard animal welfare, and support the production of high-quality food. We will be leaving the EU's Common Agricultural Policy, meaning less red tape for the farming industry. Previously, though, the Common Agricultural Policy gave farmers EU funding, so instead, the UK will introduce a much simpler policy that provides funds in return for public goods. Number 2. We will leave the EU on the 29th of March 2019 at 11 p.m. In the EU referendum, 52% of people voted to leave the European Union, and it's now written into Article 50 law that we will leave on that date, regardless of whether we can agree a deal or not. Number 1. It's the best economical way to leave the EU. Bank of England chief Mark Carney says the UK is not economically ready for a no-deal Brexit. All forecasts of the UK post-Brexit predict that the UK will be worse off outside than inside in the short and medium terms. But the Brexit deal, or a closer tie to the EU, ensures the economy will be less worse off. But let's face it, not many people like the social impact this deal presents, as I explained in my previous video. So the UK will have to find a way of balancing the social implications of staying a vassal state and the economic implications of ripping our economy from the EU. But do you agree with me? Join in the debate below and subscribe.